Yo. Um, Hello, Devin Thomas. She, her pronouns. Today is March 22nd, 2021. So I did a video like this, kind of like this, last March with my line sister, Jory. A lot has changed in the last year, both personally, professionally, and globally. So I'm gonna spend some time today and putting it off for a minute, talking about like what's happened in the last year, and where we're going. As me, but also like as a people. Kind of like a status update, pulse check vibe. So, as you heard, this time last year-ish, I was with my line sister, Jory. We had just left conferences for our sorority, and we found out that there was a pandemic, and we were told that college would be canceled, in-person college would be canceled from that point forward, which meant that Jory went home to Romeoville, Illinois, and I was in St. Louis without her and without everyone, because Diamond went back to Colorado, Marissa went to Dallas, everyone left. And it was me not thriving on campus at SLU for that few months until graduation. I think that at the time, I maybe said that I thought the pandemic would last until maybe like the spring, summer. I think Jory said a bit around that time as well. It's a year later, and we're still deep in the pandemic. In fact, there have been some variants in the pandemic that have come up in the last few months because of how long it's sustained in our ecosystem and in people's bodies. It's just like mutated. So that's happening. But good news is that there are vaccines now. So there's a Moderna vaccine, Pfizer, whatever. Vaccine. There's a few other like randos. Johnson & Johnson has a vaccine. I don't trust them because of how they did like people when it comes to like baby powder and stuff. So I'm gonna say no to that one. But Moderna and Pfizer are the two major ones. They have like 95-ish% like rates of helping people not get COVID, which is good. I'm in line to get mine right now. I like did the pre-registration thing last week, so we'll see what happens with that. No one that I know, right, like knock on wood, Lord, has passed away from COVID. My family has been safe. Granny Paula actually contracted coronavirus last month because I found out is a clown, and I mean that. And they've been outside. So she actually had COVID and she was in the hospital for a while. So she's the first person that I am like connected to for real, who is, I say, both high risk and has had COVID. People I know have had COVID, but they've been like younger and kind of like they get it and they get over it for the most part. So yeah, but she's doing better now. She's not in the hospital anymore. She's back home, and we'll pray for her continued health if God wills. So yeah, that's the COVID update, kind of, I guess. It's been a while. Like, we're still wearing masks, which we weren't doing then. Like, in that video with Jory, I'm like leaning on her and like we're sharing lip gloss, and that's how we lived for years up until the pandemic. And now I would never imagine sharing my cup or my lip gloss or anything like that with anyone else, no matter how much I love and adore and respect and like treasure Jory. That's still not how we can move right now because of the way that the world is. So big shifts. Now that I've discussed like the from then to now COVID update broadly, I'm gonna get into some like other things that have happened to me, kind of like scaling down from like how has the world changed, like how has my life changed more intimately. I guess it makes sense to talk about this like in a linear fashion, and then kind of land where I am today, which is in Washington, D.C. I know, right? So, COVID hits. Devin's taking classes virtually at school. Graduated. Did quite well for myself. Thank you very much. But graduated. And then I moved into an apartment in the Central West End, which was a dream. Hawthorne Apartments, beautiful place to be. I got a job with Deaconess Foundation. I was, should I say his name? I was, I guess I already, Starsky Wilson's executive assistant at Deaconess Foundation starting in June. And 3 months later, he announced that he will be leaving St. Louis and leaving Deaconess to work as the president of Children's Defense Fund here in D.C. Obviously, I decided to come, hence why I'm in this bitch in D.C. right now. That was a choice. I think, like, if I could think about it in, like, a really honest, vulnerable way, I didn't know what else to do in that situation. Like, so much was in flux this fall, summer. Like, we were all being told around the world that the winter is, like, going to be so scary, and it was, right? It's going to be so scary because of COVID, and we'll just, like, be so, also have unrest because of the racial reckoning that happened over the summer with, like, massive protests globally because of anti-Blackness and police violence. So it was a time just like, what the fuck is happening for me and everybody else? So when I heard that there was an opportunity for me to work at CDF with Starsky, I was like, yeah, like let's see how it goes. Let's, make it happen. It was a hard choice to make because I've never lived outside of home in St. Louis. So I've always lived like North County, South County, downtown, midtown, whatever. But I've never lived this far from home in my entire life. In fact, I never even like visited a place and been gone this long in my life up until now. Like, it is really a whole new world. I'm getting too ahead of myself. So say I decided to work at Deaconess, and then I came to CDF with Starsky in December of 2020. And I've been here ever since. It is really, really taxing being in DC right now. One, because people probably have friends here. I'm not affiliated with those people. I feel like it's such a vibrant and lonely city. You know what I'm saying? Like, there's so much happening all the time. Even like when I was here before the pandemic, when I came here to work at AP a couple summers back, folks were lonely here. Everyone feels like very important and very like distinguished, but I'm like, but who loves you though? Like, for real, like, yes, you are the board chair of this or the CEO of that or policy lead of this or work at the White House, but like, who loves you? In places like in St. Louis, like, people love people in St. Louis. And I don't know if that is true for DC. I think that's very much, there's a utility to being a resident of DC in the modern day. And of course, it's a long legacy of building Black power and Black love here in the district. But white people took that away, and that doesn't exist. Like, that feeling, I don't feel that here in Noma or whatever. All I feel is like the weight of white judgment most days. Talked to Starsky about this a little bit, because there's so much to say. And one of the things is, like, back home in St. Louis, you could find, at any given time, go to any store, downtown, midtown, North County, even maybe South County. Folks are in there wearing bonnets on their head. And that does not exist here in D.C. Like, you will never find somebody with a bonnet on. Never. Okay? Any Safeway, any Harris Teeter, it's not going to happen. Here, in, like, downtown, rich D.C. I got a note card when I moved into this building. They said that 97% of people who live in my neighborhood have a degree from college. 97% just have a bachelor's degree. So more even, like I said, like, more people have bachelor's degree here than in St. Louis by, like, a lot. So there's so much of, like, a class element of living in DC that I just didn't anticipate, because, like, the fact is I make enough money to live wherever I want to live, downtown DC. But I don't show up that way. Like, I'm not like a Gucci bag kind of girl. Although I could be. I just don't. That's not how I show up in the world. I look pretty raggedy day to day, like for real. And I see people looking at me in ways that are just like really mean, honestly. So I spend a lot of time inside now that I live here. And like there's not much for me to see when I leave my house. Like places are still closed down because of the pandemic. I'm not a restaurant girl because of the pandemic. And I don't have that many friends. I guess I have like one friend. Her name is Zakia. She's very special. Different vlog though. I'll just leave it at that. She's very special. She's very sweet. She's good. You know, I think some people can perform goodness. I think she is good. You know, like inside of her. And I love her very much. But having one friend, no matter how brilliant and amazing she is still one friend. So I'm used to having such an expansive reality that I'm able to take part in and just like relish in and enjoy and love. That it's been weird. But weird, I mean lonely and depressing. Being here and being so far removed from people and like what they're experiencing back home. The next thing I would say, continue relationships with people. So I am still acquainted with and like friends with and community with Dory and Diamond, Michelle, Amber, Vanikia, you know, the standard bearers. It's been different though. I would say me and Diamond have done the best job of maintaining like sisterly love despite the evil of the pandemic. She texted me actually just now. I was reading her text just now. So we probably talk like maybe every single day, whether it be like FaceTime or texting, DM comments on various videos on Instagram. So I really still feel like we are part of one another. That's not really the case for Jory or Michelle. What I know about Jory and Michelle is that they both are like our love languages are all touch, which requires being in person, like close together. And that's not possible right now because A, I live in DC, B, pandemic. So I really have I have not felt the love that I'm used to from Michelle or Jory. And I can't say that I've given it either. So that is probably one of the more lonely aspects of this current reality. People who had really kept me over the years are just not a presence in my life the way that they have in the past. And they still love me. Like, we'll still like have like, I love you, sis, da, da, da. Like, that's nice. But it's not compared to like love in person, you know, and like how that shows up. Like Michelle kissing my forehead, or me like sleeping next to Jory in bed, or us sharing food all the time, or me like holding the babies, Matilda and Moses, when I come over to visit. Like there's definitely a well that has formed over the last year, and there's not as many opportunities for real connection. So yeah, it's been probably some of the more unrelenting times of my life, which I think I said, Devin of 2020, I think that I said, like, I wonder how depression rates will skyrocket because of the pandemic. And I mean, I've always been depressed. Is that true? I think it's true. For at least half my life, I've experienced some pretty heavy depression, but it hits different when there's no one to pull you out of it, you know? Because for reasons that I cannot name in this video, maybe I'll name another one, Zakia can't do that for me, no matter how much I love her, because of elements of shame associated with my relationship to her, and how I view her in the world. So she's not a remedy in that way, because of that reason. So yeah, it's been really hard. It's been really hard. It's been really lonely, and isolating. And there's some sadnesses that feel like they're forever. And I think that what I've experienced over the last, really since I moved to DC specifically, has been that kind of sadness. Now, when I was in St. Louis from like March to graduation, that was pretty sad because I was at college. I didn't feel like I had like a home to go home to, whereas my friends did. But like summertime was lit. I was like hanging out with Nabil, hanging out with Michelle, learning how to drive, getting a car, getting an apartment. Like I still hang out with Amber. I still experienced like really divine love last summer, and like protesting. There's so much like community there, even with our mask on, it still feels like we are really working toward the same goal of our like collective liberation. So that felt good. But yeah, holidays and then this first quarter have been really devastating. And I can't believe that I made it. And maybe I won't make it. Who knows? But I can't believe I made it this far because I didn't want to. You know what I'm saying? Like realistically. So what I know is that it is a choice to stay alive. And everyone around the world has been making that choice for themselves. People have lived every day. Because it's easier to die in this season of like being a human on the world and on the planet than it is to live. Like dramatic but true. Like realistically. So yeah, that's been some real shit. Like really real shit. And there's like all this like different like body politics stuff that's come up in the last year as well that I did not anticipate. I had this talk with Zakia recently about how the pandemic, one thing that I think will be cool for someone somewhere to study at some point is how the pandemic has shifted beauty norms. I think it has a lot. I think that on one hand, it's shifted because I think people are accepting different bodies more readily because how all our bodies have changed during the pandemic for various reasons. So I think that is like a beautiful, glorious reality that people are accepting different bodies. Sneeze. On the other side of that, I would say that beauty, like how your face looks, has shifted for me. The way that I like view my own beauty has shifted because like, I spend every day, whether it's on Zoom calls with my coworkers, but I'm not doing that. I am watching stuff, Netflix, Hulu, YouTube, whatever. So only people that I'm seeing day to day who I can compare myself to, like subconsciously, are like heavily make-upped, very beautiful people on the internet or on television. So instead of me comparing myself to the world that I live in, like a local context of like Black Midwesterners who are like me, brown like me, talk like me, live like me, I compare myself to people like Meghan Markle. And like, when do I meet Meghan Markle? Never. So my scales are off because of COVID, which has been really hard. I am hyper aware that this video is like hella sad. And I don't mean for it to be. It's just true. Anyway, I'll do some wrap ups here by talking about maybe like a vision for where we might have a list of things to talk about on my phone. A vision for where we might be going, hopefully, and with hope and with love and with peace and with joy. So I would say the summer of 2021, I hope right? Hope this summer that I can spend more intentional, loving time with Zakia. I have hopeful plans of going with her to New York on a road trip this summer, and that'll be really fun, really lit. I hope that I can see Jory and Joe before they both leave St. Louis, because if not, I don't know when I'll see them again, because I'm not flying to Nebraska. I may hit a Chicago look, but I don't see myself going to Nebraska. No matter, or Indiana, because it's where Joe's going to grad school. So I need to figure out how I can like see them and love them in person before they leave St. Louis, because I really love them both very much, and I know how important it was to me as a senior to like have people show up for me. So I want to get vaccinated and then really show up for my babies because I love them like the most. So those are two big hopes: going to New York with Zakia, spending more time with her, and then seeing my little babies before they graduate from college. What the hell? I still can't believe that Jory and Joe graduated from college. Like, I don't know. I feel so many feelings about it. Which like is not surprising because I feel life is about everything. But I just feel like I met them when they were so young and like precious, and they're still precious and young. But they're just like living, you know? And like building their own realities in their own worlds and coming into themselves, and being more honest with who they are to themselves and to other people, loving so bravely. Like they're both so remarkably brave, and just like beautiful and remarkable people, and I love them. Anyway, this is a really big tangent. I'm gonna go back to the point, which is visiting Joe and Joey before they graduate. Seeing my mom, Davian, Michelle. Yeah, I just need to figure out how, I guess more than all that, I need to figure out how I can access my own joy for myself. Because even as I'm talking about it now, I'm realizing that I'm basing a lot of like my future joy on time with other people. So like I'll be happy when me and Zakia go to New York. I'll be happy if I get to see Jory and Joe before they graduate. But that has nothing to do with how I live in my own body outside of like their realities. So despite the fact that it's been like my inclination and my like reality to be able to like lean on people for their support and really be like fed in that way, I'm like self-sustaining as fuck right now. So I really am going to spend some time in deep reflection, and thought and hope, Lord, about how I can be my own like lifeboat and anchor, because I haven't been for 23 years, and I have had to be in this season. So send good vibes. I plan on doing more regular updates because this is fun. And to play them on YouTube. So maybe one day I'll show my kids, unless this is too personal. But they're my kids, so show my kids one day these videos, if I ever have any, and they'll know who I am and who I was and who I hope to be. So thank you for your time. It is now 6:19 Eastern Time here in Washington, D.C. on March 22nd, 2021. My name is still Devin Thomas, and I hope to feel and give more love before the next installment. So, thank you for your time. Peace out.